What the fuck, dude? You gotta be fucking kidding me, dude. Come on, you fucking shit. God damn it. What the fuck, dude? Really? You suck. Welcome to On the Chain. What's going on? We're having a little bit of tech difficulty here tonight. I don't know what's going on. Bizarro moves. But anyway, I should be live. Guys, if I'm live, please let me know because having some weird connection issues. I don't know why, but apparently I was live. Am I still live? What's going on? Am I still live? I hope I'm live. I don't know what's going on, but some kind of a weird thing. It wasn't responding. Okay, live. Good. Good to hear that. Okay, so tonight is a special edition of On the Chain. Jeff is not here. He's on special assignment. All right. Good. And I don't know. I mean, we go live all the time, and then all of a sudden today it was like doing some massive failings. But everybody, welcome. Let's cheer John Deaton on today. He's taken on the incomparable, like the fake Indian Elizabeth Warren, and this ought to be pretty amazing. I'm going to go ahead and load up. I'm going to get the screen share ready here, just so we can see it. I'm going to do a little bit of test on the volume so that we make sure that when the event goes live, we'll be live as well. But let's see if let's go. Okay, let's share that, and we should be good to go. So what I'll do is I'll put a little bit of this on. This up. Here we go. Are we ready to do this? Okay, more stories from We Return. Okay, there's no sound right now. Is there? Yeah, I can't play this. I'm going to have to wait a second before we can do this, but here we go. And let's go big screen there. There we go. Beautiful. Okay. How long is this? This is a good question. Don't know how long it is. It might be an hour. Usually debates are an hour and a half. I mean, presidential debates, VP debates are about an hour and a half. I don't know the length of this one, but I do know it starts right around 8 p.m. It's not on right now. Epic for John. No, this is what we're watching right now, but I can't play this because it's a national feed. Don't want to play the commercials here. Let's see. Let me go ahead and refresh this puppy. Let's see what we got. And here we go. Yeah, we'll just watch this for a little bit. It's a CBS affiliate site, so we'll see exactly what that looks like. 90 minutes. Okay, Digital Asset Conductor said it will be 90 minutes. Good. We'll get to a lot of topics. And then there's another debate in 2 days, which is interesting. So I think it's on the 17th as well. So here we are. Once we go live, I'd love to hear your commentary. As you know, we hear from Elizabeth Warren, and I'm interested to see how the commentators are, how it's going to be treated. As you guys know, this is Massachusetts, a very blue state, right? And the media skews pretty heavy, to the left. So we'll see if are they going to give a fair shake here? Are they going to try to fact check John in real time, and what's going to happen here? There's not a lot you can get John on. I mean, she may try, but I don't think she's going to land many punches. She's going to try to she's not going to go after him on really pretty much almost anything. Like, okay, if the border security may come up a little bit, we might hear a little bit about that, but we'll also probably hear too, about the whole IVF thing. I'm guaranteed that'll probably be a topic that will probably pop up. But more so like what's going to happen inside of Massachusetts, right? Deaton's going to make everyone wait for at least 60 minutes. Power move. Strolls in, comes in a little bit late. I like that. He just sort of pops in, kind of here he is, you know. Rob McDermott, YouTube crashing and forcing a reboot for anyone else. I don't know. I had a weird thing to happen on my side, Rob. I was like, I was trying to get this thing live. My whole screen, like, just locked up. It didn't even tell me I was live. And then I refreshed it. And then, boom, here I am live. It was really odd. Yeah, John is going to scalp her, says AOC Simp. There you go. Let's go, John. Hey, all. BMAC checking in from Phoenix. What's going on in Phoenix? Let's see what else we got here. John Doe, hoping John's lawyering comes out. You know, he's going to be the best when presenting arguments, ideas, the most clearly. Yeah, he has that as well. But don't forget, I believe Elizabeth Warren wasn't that her training? Wasn't she an attorney at one time? Who knows? Aussies are in here. G'day, g'day. Let's effing go, John Deaton. Let's do it. Pocahontas will lose her feathers. There you go. Get your coffee ready, boys and girls. Get your popcorn ready. Who's ready to get going here? So here we go. Let's see. What do we have time-wise? Yeah, it's 8:02 here, so I don't know what's. I guess probably we'll come right into it. Let me go ahead and put the volume on here, guys. Volume. Please let me know that you guys hear that or you don't hear it. It's music playing right now. Please let me know if you hear it. It's kind of a loop of music going on right now. Let me know if you guys hear that. Please let me know. UK is here, rooting for John. Excellent. DJ, appreciate that. Okay, we hear it. Good. That's a good sign. Thank you, Chad. Appreciate that. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to be mostly silent throughout. I'm going to try to contain myself. We're going to watch this together. I thought, hey, if I'm going to watch it, why don't we all watch it together? Why don't we just,
election board members that they cannot refuse to certify election results. The judge saying Georgia voters would be silenced. Our Constitution and our election.
Okay, so this is not it quite yet.
Former President Donald Trump is holding
Looks like
back
it's more news stories. I thought this thing started at 8. Maybe it's 8:30. I don't know. What am I missing here?
Trump also sat for questions Tuesday with Bloomberg and the economic.
This was great. This was very good. When he sat with Bloomberg, he basically told the guy he didn't know what he was talking about was wrong. This guy was trying to be really smart about everything.
Trump was also asked if he has spoken to Russian President Vladimir Putin since.
Well, here we go with Russia again. So, Steve, what's going on? Marvin Davis can hear. Okay, good. Okay, we're good. Everybody hears. We're excellent, loud and clear. Deaton equals prosecutor and defense attorney versus a teacher. Yeah, they're probably not a very good one at that. I heard that considering reissuing it's like watching dollar coins. Potentially that was Pocahontas. Sacagawea, that's not spelled right, but yeah. Putting Liz Warren on the back instead of Sacagawea, yeah, pretty much, that's funny. I like that. Let's go, boys. Let's go. I'm happy, yeah. We're getting a Docu Punch. What is going on, people? This is it. I'm glad you guys hear it. 8:30. Okay, so we're here till 8:30. What are you gonna do? I thought for some reason it was coming on early, so we gotta watch the Boston weather here. It's just we just put that on pause right there. We'll kind of just like hang this in the background a little bit, but until we let's do that. There we go. We can kind of watch what's going on. And we'll just talk about it. Thank you, Crypto G, for some reason I thought it was 8 o'clock. I thought I saw that it was 8 o'clock, but apparently it's not 8 o'clock. What are you gonna do? We'll just sit here. We'll chat about it. We'll talk about it. I do have a good video to kind of just get us warmed up here. Which let me do this. I'll just play this. I want to play this one. This is John Deaton. Let's get just fired up here and let's go play this one. Let me stop the share there. We're gonna throw this other screen on. Let's see here. Here we go. All right, let's crank this puppy up and share this one. And let's go. Let's get fired up for this.
Highland Park, Detroit. I grew up in real poverty in a dangerous, violent neighborhood. I got beat up, but I fought back. I learned life's lessons. And my motto became, no fear and never give up. My mom, my hero. A single mom on welfare and food stamps who worked as many jobs as she could just to put food on the table. Most of the times it was just beans and cornbread, but she did her best. They called me white trash, but I made it out. It wasn't easy. I was the only one in my family to graduate high school. I worked my way through college and New England School of Law, living in Roxbury. I joined the Marines, fought addiction, cancer, and mountains of debt. No fear, and I will never give up. After law school, I got married, became the proud father of 3 amazing daughters, and built the law practice. I fought for the little guy. I took on the greedy corporations and the heartless insurance companies, and I won. I took on the Washington insiders, and I won. I am running for U.S. Senate to continue my life's mission to shake things up for the people who need it most. Take on the drug and insurance companies for better, more accessible health care. Instead of just pointing the fingers at each other, actually work to solve the migrant crisis. Fight inflation that's crushing working families. Work for better opportunities for children. Take on Washington corruption and the division that's killing this country. We need term limits for these career politicians who have simply forgotten who elected them. Elizabeth Warren, well, she promised to be a champion for those in need. Instead, she gives lectures and plays politics and gets nothing done for Massachusetts. I will work day and night to make a difference in your life. I know your life struggles because I've lived them. I know your dreams and your hopes for you and your family because I share them. I will fight for what is right because I have no fear, and I will never give up.
Boom. Wow. That was every time I watch that, it gets better every single time. And John is just an amazing human being. And the fact that he is, I have no doubt at all that he will fight like no one's ever thought. And the kind of story he has, the guy that made it out of poverty, the guy that went to bed hungry, the kind of, the horrific 2 years he endured when he was 9 years old. It's an amazing story watching his best friend, die in his arms. Having a gun shoved in his face. This is usually, you don't hear too many stories like this. There's people that go on and they conquer. And a guy like John, this is his story. This is his life story. And his next bit of that is being a U.S. senator. And I just think that if enough people watch this debate and enough people volunteer and make calls and get out there, we're going to have quite the the senator. And here's a guy who's going to be pro crypto, right? We're not even going to question that. But what he's going to do is he's going to get other senators. He's going to be able to explain it to them in a way that they understand, right? Put it into like normal language. He's going to be somebody that's going to bring a wealth of experience about cryptocurrency coming to the U.S. Senate. And also, who knows, maybe even to the House. But that's what's sadly lacking, because the leadership we have right now in the Senate is somebody like Elizabeth Warren, right? She's somebody who wants to continually bang the drum about how cryptocurrency is used for evil. Meanwhile, we just saw a major bank get slapped for money laundering, right? So, and it's the tune, we'll just fine them a couple $100 million. That'll take care of it. Sure. So billions of dollars are funneled, are exchanged, and money laundered year after year by the banks and other, financial entities. But we keep hearing about how crypto bad, fiat is apparently good. But fiat has been the root of all of these things throughout the beginning of time. And how long will it take before you actually even catch up? It's going to be forever and a day. So let's go back to let's go back over here to the comments here. There is XRP Plumber, John Deaton for Senate. Deaton for Senate. I appreciate that. Thank you for that. So what else we have here? John Deaton is the man. Damien, he is the man. He is the man tonight. We're going to cheer him on together. We are going to make sure that he is knows he has to support 76,000 XRP holders. That is nothing. That is nothing short of amazing, right there. Just keeping an eye on the feed, making sure they don't pull a fast one and start this thing or start some pre-show there. Yep, just a small town boy, born and raised in South Detroit. There you go, a little journey. Crypto G, bringing it in. Funny thing is, I spent 4 years in Detroit area, and there's no South Detroit. I mean, technically, you don't call it South Detroit, but sounds good in a Journey song, right? There you go. So there you are. He's a good man, and I hope he wins. Yeah, we all do, man. Don't stop believing. Agreed, 100%. Let's see what else we have. Guy is a true hero, and he's bullish on XRP. Also, he's a G, says Rye Guy. Right. Zover says, as painful as it may be. That's what he's saying there. What else we have here? I was watching a story about political attacks. They kept doing, there's an app out there because, man, my phone gets blown up like crazy. My phone is nonstop hammered. Like I'll delete 6 texts and boom, 5 new texts show up. And it's both sides. I get it from both sides of the odds. Like constant hammering. And this guy wrote an app. It's supposed to change. It's called Spam Strike. If you guys get that as well, Spam Strike is what it's called. So if you guys go to Spam Strike, I think it's free. It just will automate. It looks at all of the if it doesn't match a contact in your phone, and it uses AI and some keywords. So I'm going to have to try it out because, I mean, I know there's only 3 weeks left, but please, I can't take it anymore with all of the nonstop sort of, let me go ahead and put some light on here, man. What do they got going on here? Oh, they're just really hammering home all of the upcoming shows on CBS. Matlock, did they have to spin that out again? John Doe wanted to let the chat know that you can go to Deaton's campaign site, sign up to make calls on the campaign's behalf. They actually reached out to me the next day after signing up. Guys, this is really cool. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. So this is what you do. You go to his website. If you could put that link in there too, but this is, if you want to make calls on behalf, talk to some people, they don't know John's story. They don't know who John is, right? I mean, but one thing is for sure, they're pretty fed up with Elizabeth Warren. Her polling was at 40%, and there's a real shot here. It's just a matter. And then John had talked about a new poll that came out that said the people that know John's story and know a little bit about John, he wins. So this is huge. So if you guys want to support him and you can't maybe make a donation to his campaign, this is the next big thing. Go up, sign up, make some calls. Let's have a full court press here as we go into there's things. Alex Yeet is in the house. Pocahontas is for a CBDC. She absolutely is for a CBDC, and that's not good either. Ed is in the house. Who else we have here? Yeah, go ahead and repost it. Share the stream. Show support for the channel and John Deaton. Yeah, appreciate that. But I thought, like, hey, who do I want to hang out with? We're all going to be watching this. Or if you're overseas, right? If you're not in the U.S., you're like, how do I even? Can I? A lot of times, you won't be able to see it if you don't live in that particular region. So this was like another way to sort of help out. If you're in Australia, if you're in the UK, I know we have both in the house tonight. So I thought, like, why don't I just watch this with my friends? And I wish Jeff was here, but Jeff is going to be out for a little bit, but he's fine. He's just he's got a super busy schedule. FTX was a front to launder money for the Democrats. Absolutely. Pocahontas admits they use crypto for shady stuff. Yeah, they certainly do. And it was funny because here's what happens. You donate a bunch of stuff to a country that begins with U and ends in rain, okay? Then that country invests money back into FTX, and then FTX funnels it into the politicians' coffers. So, yeah, it's kind of how it works. It's some elaborate money laundering. But, when politicians do it, it doesn't really matter if it's companies that are doing that. It seems like to be okay. 3 weeks and the clown show is over. Absolutely. Man, you cannot go anywhere. You cannot turn on the radio. You can't turn on the TV without getting hammered with all kinds of ads for all kinds of politicians that are running. It is a little bit much. El Jefe, thank you for that. Appreciate that. Deaton for Senate. Trump for president 2024. Man, absolutely. Let's do this. I mean, we are at a precipice right now where, a guy like John Deaton said enough is enough. They tried to take him out. They had 2 other candidates. One guy, his whole campaign was, I mean, God bless him, but his whole campaign was he put a Trump hat on, he put a Trump shirt on, and he goes, Trump 2024. What do you think? Trump, Trump, Trump. Sorry, that's not going to be enough to get you elected. Just being a Trump groupie. What were your policies? What were your ideas? He had nothing, an empty suit. Then you had the other guy who was just a plant, who spent all his time in Democratic circles, but supposedly he grew up with one of his parents was a conservative, right? That was Ian Kane, and he got beat badly, and John blew them both away. Why? Because John was prepared. John was already making moves. John was making stuff happen. When all these other guys were just like, I don't know what they thought they were doing, but they didn't have a chance against him, and it was the right candidate. I'm a little disappointed that two of the biggest super PACs that are supposedly going to support candidates around crypto have decided not to. Fair Shake being one of them, not to contribute to John's campaign. But John attracted a lot of the Winklevoss twins. They both donated a lot of money. He had somebody from a major exchange just donated a bunch of money. So in all, he's raised like $3.5 million in that. And then, of course, our donations. And again, $5 from 65,000, 75,000 XRP holders goes a long way. And that's how you have to think about it. It's not about, hey, and if you can't afford, well, make some calls for him. Would you give up an hour or 2 hours to make some calls for John to enlighten some people, to get people out to vote for him? I mean, I think that's like the next big thing. Jim D, man, need some positive crypto action sooner. I'm going to need to come out of retirement just to pay the taxes and living expenses. Yeah, that's a sad thing, man, when that happens. We all need that. But I mean, certainly you don't want to have to come out of retirement just to be able to make your bills, man. We don't want that, right, Jim D? That's not a good thing. Let's see, what else do we have here? Go with the memes. Jimbo, vote Trump, says Richard. And if you've seen what's going on with the Harris campaign, it seems like a lot of desperation is is starting to set in. We have tons of giveaways. We'll give you this, we'll give you that, we'll give you this. Now the latest one is she's talking about reparations. And it's like, well, that was never part of her platform. But now when she realizes she's evaporated and lost a lot of the male black vote, and what she doesn't realize, I think there's a lot of women as well that she's not considering, thinking it's just the men. I don't think so. At least my feed is blown up every single day. And all I see almost nonstop are people mad. And I'll tell you, tomorrow night, we have co-hosting here, JV the Great. JV is going to be in here. We're going to be talking about we'll talk about what happened here today, but we'll also talk about some current things as well. We'll talk about some political things that are going on, obviously the campaign, but he'll be here. It's always great when JV joins the show. It's always a good conversation. He brings a great perspective as well. And he's blowing it up over there on X, man. I mean, he gets a lot of engagement, and I'm always lockstep with pretty much everything he says. So he's right in that groove. And if you start following Jay, you're going to get red pilled. If you're not red pilled already, you're getting red pilled. There's just no other way around it. I'm up 15K in 5 days. Norseman, good for you, my man. I don't know what that is, what that's in reference to, but good to hear that. And then I'm sitting here waiting. We got about 10 more minutes. Wait a minute. Holiday market at Snowport. No, that's not it. I thought that might have been it. That is not it. Maryland, MD. What else do we have here? There are far too many pets in America. We need more Haitians here. Oh, I see what that was. That was a joke. I see what you did there. Sean Thompson's in the house. What's up, Sean? Memes and blue chips. Sui, Cass, and small bag of XRP. Good. Yeah, Sui. Yeah, man. I should have pulled the trigger when I should have pulled the trigger on that, and I didn't pull the trigger. But I think Sui's going places, man. Sui is going places. It's a good, solid project that it's probably gonna do very well. Mr. Wright, John Deaton wins. Will JV shave his beard? I don't know. You'll have to come and ask him tomorrow night. I mean, you'll see. We'll see. Or JV. Oh, you're talking about Coach JV? Yeah, Coach JV is he threatening to shave his beard? Oh, I don't know about that. So I think you're talking about Coach shaving his beard. I don't know. That's a good 4 or 5 year beard there. I don't know if he's going to shave that. Warden protects Jamie Dimon with her puppet Gary, Mr. Burns Gensler with the BS case against Ripple Labs. Yeah, it does seem a little bit too disingenuous, doesn't it there? A little bit too much. Help control the pet population. Push. Oh my gosh, man. XRP plumbing, I bet your ass. Elizabeth Warren is nervous as hell. I don't think she's had a contender. The last go around, the contender was somewhat pretty weak. She hasn't, I mean, you're not going to get one over on John Deaton. You're just not. You're not going to challenge him and not get throat punched. It's just, you know, I don't see her, I don't know what her strategy is, what she's going to try to pin on him, but I'm pretty sure John Deaton has a few tricks up his sleeve, and he's a good study. So he knows exactly how to beat her because she's running on her track record. And if you noticed, ever since John Deaton announced that he's running, what have we seen? Well, we've seen major panic. She's taken to X a lot more. I'm doing this. I'm doing this. Look at all the things that I'm doing. She didn't give a rat's ass before. She was just, you know, the senior member of the, of the Senate. She was the one making all policy sort of decisions, right? She supposedly has all this power, her and the Shermanator. But we'll see. Gladdy Dummu got Willie G says voters in Massachusetts are old. My dead mother still votes Kennedy. Oh my gosh. It's not going to be easy. They don't understand Bitcoin or the Marxist takeover is real. They don't, but one of the things they do understand is when you have a kids center that's dedicated for kids and you take it over, you know, and you put illegals in there and now your kids have no place to go. They're starting to understand that a little bit more. And it's always a problem. It's okay when they're staying at somebody else's neighborhood in town, but when they come to your neighborhood in town, all of a sudden, well, that's not so much fun anymore, right? Those are the kind of things that I think have boiled over. I think one of the things that Deaton's drawn a lot of good attention to is the fact that everything that's going on with the with this migrant crisis, John went to the border, right? And so I have a feeling that either he'll bring it up. I think a lot of the, because remember, because this is a local election, this is a Massachusetts election, there will probably be a lot of conversation about, you know, different things that affect the good people, the Commonwealth there. And I'm thinking that more or less a lot of the questions, but you might have some national type of questions come in. I'm sure abortion is going to make it in there. You know, John's really pro-life. It's like he's not lock sync with the whole Republican movement. He's also not. You're not going to get him on any of those. He wanted to have a debate. He proposed 5 debates. Now the last cycle there were 3 debates, and so John was saying we should at least have 3, but I'm proposing 5, and that they're all single issue debates. Single issue on this, and this, not a whole myriad of different things. And John was proposing that this would be one of the things that they would actually talk about. Of course, that was denied. And the funny thing is, what I don't like about these debates is when early polling opens, right? When the polls open early, you can early vote. People already cast in their votes, and I don't like the fact that the debate should be before any voting takes place, because anybody that has a chance to say like, oh, wait a minute, this guy might be different. This guy might be, because who are you going to vote for, right? Now, if you're a Democrat, you're probably going to vote blue across the board. You're going to vote for Harris, and you're going to vote down ticket, right? So anybody in the House, in the local races, you're just going to vote Democrat all the way down. But not necessarily. And John doesn't come off as your typical sort of Republican either. He comes off as somebody who's, you know, fair-minded and wants to do the best for. He's not running as, you know, a MAGA candidate. He's not running. A lot of people have criticized him for that. He's running in Massachusetts, right? And this is where, but he's true to himself. He's not doing things that are outside of what he believes in. Everything he's doing is within his belief system and what he feels is right for the people of Massachusetts. So there is all of that as well. Let's go back over here. Willie G says, I live in one of these towns. Illegal stabbed another illegal in the heart. Oh my gosh. While driving 2 months ago in Hyannis. Oh my gosh. That's horrible. Jeez. Yeah, this is just, but these are the kind of things you don't even hear about it nationally. Like that would be a huge story. This is something we haven't even heard about. It's incredible that we haven't even, you know, I mean, it's horrific, but, and then we've got Matt Morrow. Matt says, thank you so much, Chip. Just got home from work, wondering where can I watch our man, John, shine. John is a gentleman, a heart of gold. He helped me long before we stepped into the help XRP holders versus the SEC. Hi from Australia. Hey, hi, what's up, Matt? Good to see you on here, my man. Appreciate that. Yeah, Australia's a lot of Aussies are in the house here. And next time I go there, man, I swear I am going to see, I better see a koala bear. I better see an indigenous creature that, I'm like a kangaroo. I mean, I can't even see a kangaroo, right? I mean, I guess you'd go to a zoo, but I'm just expecting these bad boys to be somewhere on a drive, somewhere. I would see them someplace, right, in the wild, but I didn't get to see them. But I hope that definitely changes. Norseman got Trump MAGA coin to do for the 20X. There you go there. 312 watching on CBS Boston, 237 watching on OTC, respectable. Yeah, we've got 400 here total, so that's a combination of all X as well. So that's pretty interesting. I imagine that will go up quite a bit once we probably get into it. Yeah, I'm just watching. It's the guy from that Strike app again. So looks like they continue to rerun stuff. Looks like we're about 4 minutes away from this puppy taking off. That's what it looks like. James Rule, what's up? James Rule is in here. What's going on, James? Good to see you in here, my man. Yeah, we're gonna just have this is a watch party. This is, this is the XRP army. We're gonna be able to have a conversation. As you guys are. As this thing's going on, as long as it's not disruptive, I'm going to go ahead and put comments up. I won't read them, but I'll put them up so that people can read them and see them. And just so you guys can share your opinion. That's the whole idea of having this. All right, come to Newcastle, brother. I'll take you around. 2.5 hours drive, north drive from Sydney. Okay, that sounds good. That sounds doable, man. 2.5 hours drive north Sydney. Well, I'll be there again next year. Jeff and I will be there for the Wave of Innovation. So that would be cool. I tend to stay a little bit longer as well. So that's also a very good thing. Where can I watch the debate? Right here, my man, right here. Len Brown, Bills Mafia, what's going on? Picked up Amari Cooper today from Cleveland. That was a very good one. It just hasn't started yet. This is why I'm rambling for the last half hour, and that's what you have to do. You have to fill space, you have to fill air, and you just continue to talk over and over again. That's why I have such a deep appreciation for anybody that does talk radio, because you don't want dead space, because all of a sudden, if I stop talking, you will think there's something wrong. You'd be like, did the volume stop? What happened? Did my stream go bad? I mean, that's what you usually do. So you have to fill that space with something. But yeah, man, we're going to be doing it here. There's a Cookie Monster. I don't know what that is. James Rule. Mike Marath says, hello, James. Yep. What else we have here? Will you keep your video on so we can see reactions? I might keep my video on. I mean, we'll see. I'm tempted to say stuff, but I'm going to try to zip it because I don't want to interfere with what's going on. So I might just keep it on. We'll see. Great news out of Swell. Feels different this year. It does kind of feel different this year. And you know what? I'm still waiting for my tickets to be granted for Swell. It started today, but here's the thing. We wouldn't be doing this if I was at Swell. So I'd be at one of the after parties, and I did not receive admission. I didn't even receive I wasn't even rejected. I just got nothing. It's like, we're reviewing your application since back in August. So nothing ever happened. But so in a good way, that's what we're doing. Oh yeah. Sean Thompson in the building. Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward tomorrow to hear the SEC's BS reason for the appeal. Yeah, I don't think so. After hearing Stu Alderati today basically talk about the fact that he is more confident than ever that they're going to crush the SEC, I think he's absolutely right. They came back for more, and they're going to get throat punched. They're going to regret that they did it. Who knows? I don't know if you can embarrass them. How much more damage could you do? They're pretty bad. Yeah, use the soundboard. The soundboard effects when they go on there. I could do some of that too. That would be fun. Let's go, Deaton. Absolutely glad to do it, and happy to do this. And again, I was like, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to be sitting there watching it by myself. Why not watch it with some friends? That's what I thought. Like, we'll watch it together. Let's put our input in here. Do I think this is a money grab? What's a money grab? Maybe a different conversation. Darren, I'm going to go out of town in the AM, and my debit cards quit working about an hour ago. That's not good. That is not good. Hopefully you got a credit card or something else you can back it up, but that's not a good sign, man. Oh, the SEC. Okay, yeah. Well, I don't know. We'll see, man. We'll see. I don't necessarily think it's a money grab. I just think that they're just a little bit snobbish. They just want to be right about something. So they have the money and the power, and they can do it. I don't think they're going to win, but that's just how they are. Let's put this back up here, guys. Here, it looks like we're going to get started here. Let's go to the share screen. I'm going to need you guys to tell me if you hear it, because right now there's nothing playing. But once the audio kicks in, I'm not going to play this here, but you guys will have to let me know if you do hear it. There we go. Nope. There we go. Okay. So I don't want to play this because, of course, we'll get hammered for playing on this thing national. I don't want to play that. But when it comes back on, I'm going to put it on there, guys, and just let me know that you hear volume. Because all they're doing, I've watched this promo already about 11 times, right? I've never heard of this show before. It's this guy, that gal's first marriage, and they live with their parents. I don't know, some weird thing like that. That's what I've ascertained from that. I don't know what period of time it happens in, but who knows? I don't know. Anyway, yeah. Okay, so Georgie and Mandy's first marriage. I don't know what that's about, but there you go. Apparently that's a show, Bacardi commercials, all kinds of stuff. So, well, guys, we're on top of, is it not 8:32? What am I missing here, guys? Shouldn't this thing be started already? Am I missing something? Am I behind in the feed? I don't think I am. I think I'm current. Should I refresh the screen? Man, why isn't this going? I don't understand. What am I missing here? It's 8:32. 8:32. And let me refresh this thing. Let me see if I do this. I don't know. I want to just double check it. Something doesn't seem right here. Okay. Yeah, there we go. This is live. We are watching it live. Here we go. What is this right here?
And helped Massachusetts deal with the migrant surge that's happening here. Only 4 Republican senators voted for it. Senator Warren voted against it. You have said that you would have supported this bill. Why?
Listen, this is the one issue that separates me and Senator Warren more than anything. I know the southern border. I went in the Marine Corps, stationed in Yuma, Arizona as the top prosecutor. I was fighting the drug cartels from drug smuggling and human trafficking. And I actually received an award by then President Bill Clinton for my efforts. And I went to the border when they took the rec center from the poor kids in Roxbury. And let me tell you, I'll tell you what Senator Warren won't tell you. 12 million is the number that have crossed. 100 people on the terrorist watch list. The migrants, they don't run. They wait. They have no ID, and they're given court date of 2032 and 2033, 8 or 9 years from now. 400 to 500 people suspected to be terrorists have gotten through. It's a national security crisis. When you learn what the migrants are going through, it's a humanitarian crisis. And Senator Warren is extreme on this. She supports open borders. She voted no on that border bill. It would have brought relief. It wasn't perfect. You don't let perfect get in the way of good. And she's so extreme, she objects to President Biden's cap of $2,500 a day. That's how extreme.
Thank you, Senator Warren.
So the migrant situation is causing stress, and it's causing stress here in Massachusetts on our healthcare system, on our education system, on housing. It's also causing stress on the families themselves. Understand this, though. The Republican playbook is one that Donald Trump has perfected. And that is get up and demonize as many Republicans as many immigrants as you can. Call them terrible names, say that they're trying to eat our dogs and cats. But then, most importantly, don't fix the problem, because it works as an election issue, not something to be fixed, but an election issue. That's what happened in 2016, in 2018, in 2020, in 2022, and in 2024. No. And John Deaton certainly doesn't refer to immigrants eating our dogs and cats, but he's taking a page out of the same playbook. We need comprehensive immigration reform. But the only way we're going to do that is by cutting off extremist Republicans and actually coming together and fixing it.
We're going to get to the open period in 1 sec. Vicky has a follow-up.
I wanted to ask Guess a follow-up because former President Trump, his promise on this issue is to execute the largest mass deportation in American history. Is that something you would support?
Of course not. When you talk about mass deportations, 20, 30 million, no. But
Small level deportation has to be part of it. Listen, President Obama deported 3 million. It's okay to have it. But listen, let's go back. No one in this race running for office can identify with these poor migrants more than me. I know what it's like to want a better life. I listened to my mom cry at night on the nights that we didn't have food to eat. So of course I don't demonize these migrants, but it is 12 million. I assume 99% of these people are good people who want a better life. 1% is 120,000 potential bad guys. And we just saw a report that says 435,000 have felony convictions, 15,000 rapists, 13,000 murderers. So even if you give the benefit of the doubt like I do, it's still a national security risk.
Equal time.
Look, this is a page out of the Donald Trump playbook. It may have
She's
a little
got
nicer
nothing.
face on it, but it's the same kind of notion. It's an election issue. Let's demonize that other group. Let's talk about how they're rapists and criminals, and let's figure out a way to make that the only issue in the debate, because Republicans believe that they will win on that issue, and they've done it over and over and over. I first voted for comprehensive immigration reform in 2013. It was a bill led by Republican Marco Rubio, and it had all of the elements we need in immigration reform. It had border security, it had work permits, it had money for our states, and it had a pathway to citizenship. I believe strongly that as we negotiate a comprehensive immigration reform plan, we need to make certain that the states are fully reimbursed for what they are spending on migrants, because after all, questions about immigration are federal. The federal government should pay for the migrants who are here to support them. But we need a comprehensive plan.
Way over
and
time.
the Democrats
Shut her up.
and Republicans need to work together.
Rebuttal.
We need to separate out
listen.
this crazy extremism.
Extremism, absolutely. Pay attention to not what they say, what they do. Senator Warren just literally said, we need comprehensive immigration reform bill. It was on the table, and bipartisan, and she rejected. She's out there saying Vice President Harris is going to bring back that bill. She's literally saying that nationally, and she voted against it. How do you vote? How do you object to 2,500 cap per day? I know these. I went to the border and I learned that these women are being given Plan B pills because they get raped along the way. I would never demonize these people, but it's a national security crisis. The problem is Senator Warren will say, oh, you call it national security crisis and you're a racist. That's insane.
Response, please.
No, let's be clear. This is the Republican playbook, and it's the same playbook
She's got
over
nothing.
and over
Wow.
and over. And that is talk about the immigration problem, but when it actually comes time to fix it, like we did back in 2013, the extremist Republicans, Donald Trump said just a few months ago, I want to keep it as an election issue, so don't actually fix the problem. In fact, see what you can do to make the problem worse, make everybody suffer so they can run on it again and again and again. We do need comprehensive immigration reform. I've laid out what the 4 elements are. That's what we need to negotiate for.
There's only one extremist on this stage tonight, and it's Elizabeth Warren. I'm the moderate, centrist, common sense candidate. It is bankrupting this state. You know, they spend so many billions on the migrants, but can't save Neshoba or Dorchester's Carney Hospital. And Senator Warren does not want immigration reform. She had a chance and she rejected it.
One more time,
Look,
and then we'll
I
move
first
on.
voted for immigration reform back in
Right.
2013. But remember,
You
I did
rejected the
not buy
bill.
a ticket on a boat that Donald Trump had already sunk. By the time we voted on this one, we all knew the bill was dead. The Republican support had been pulled. The big question is, what position do you want to be in as we're negotiating for real immigration reform? And for me, we need a pathway to citizenship, and we also need full reimbursement for the states that are currently housing the migrants.
All right, candidates, you can return to this later if you want to, but I do want to move on so we get different topics in here. And you'll go first here, Senator. Question for both of you. Politicians like to talk a big game about bipartisanship. But the record shows senators vote with their party leaders the vast majority of the time. And it's hard to see how harsh political rhetoric promotes voter support for bipartisan behavior. So, how can voters trust that you'll put their interests ahead of partisan politics? 1 minute, please.
I'll stand on my record on that because I have done it. Look, I am so deeply honored that the people of Massachusetts have sent me to Washington to fight for them. And so that's what I do every day. And that's how it is that over the 12 years I've been there, I have been the principal sponsor in 44 pieces of legislation, and 27 of those pieces of legislation are bipartisan. That is, I have a Republican co-sponsor who helped me get to the finish line. That's how it is that I broke the hearing aid monopoly with help from Republican Charles Grassley. That's how it is that I protected pensions with help from Republican Steve Daines. That's how it is just recently that I helped make sure you get your money back when they cancel your flight with help from Republican Josh Hawley. And those 44 bills do not include the more than 100 pieces that I've gotten into our defense authorization bills that come through every year, many of those on a bipartisan basis. I deliver on a bipartisan basis.
Thank you, Mr. Deaton.
Senator Warren has passed one bill in 12 years as primary sponsor. But let me tell you, remember what I said, that you have to pay attention to what they do, not what they say? Senator Warren has been out there. When is a Republican going to stand up to Donald Trump? When is a Republican going to defend and protect a woman's right to choose her own health issues and be pro-abortion? Guess what? That Republican is here. I've been taking on the leadership of the Republican Party. And what did Senator Warren do? Did she welcome that? No, she lied about me. She called me a MAGA extremist Republican recruited by the Trump machine when she knew that I was even more critical of President Trump than she has been. Pay attention to what they say. Bipartisan and Elizabeth Warren do not go together. She is one of the most extremist people in the Senate. And we could go over how she wants to pack the Supreme Court, how she's so anti-business. She's partly responsible for Neshoba in Kearney Hospital. She prevented Amazon buying iRobot. Why? Because Amazon's a big bad company and hundreds of jobs were lost. She's the extremist. I'm the moderate.
Thank you. Rebuttal.
So this is why people don't trust John Deaton. He started this discussion by saying that I had only passed one bill.
Yep.
He has been fact-checked on that publicly in the Boston Globe and said that's not true. I have passed 27 bills on a bipartisan basis.
Not as a sponsor.
And that doesn't even count the changes I've gotten into our military bills that pass every single year, many of which are on a bipartisan basis. Look, there's a lot we can do on a bipartisan basis. I'll mention just one thing, and that is helping our veterans who have traumatic brain injury. I've been working on this for years now. The notion that when you're hit by blast overpressure, we thought originally with IEDs, but it may also be when you're throwing grenades or even holding ammunition near your head, that it can cause changes to our military members' brains. I have been working to develop the studies on this, the research on this, the diagnosis on this, and the treatment. And I want to say, a big part of that's happening right here in Massachusetts at home base. It's something I do on a bipartisan basis with Republican
Why does she speak forever? Shut her up already.
Because I'm in Washington to deliver
Pull
for the
her
people
off.
of Massachusetts.
Equal.
And I'll do that on a bipartisan
That's
basis.
equal time.
Thank you. Notice I said as primary sponsor, but listen, you notice that Senator Warren didn't even address the fact that she lied about who I am, and she just ignored that. You know, my daughters asked me not to run. They said, Daddy, don't run because politics is ugly. And they might lie about you and try to make you look like a bad guy when you're not. You want to know what I said? I said, Senator Warren is a 75-year-old grandmother. When she sees that I believe strongly in a woman's right to reproduction, and when she sees that I take on Donald Trump or anyone else in the Republican Party, she'll welcome that. And we can have a real policy debate And the first thing she did was lie about my daughter, Olivia, Senator, call me in tears saying, Daddy, I told you, my friends are texting me. They're emailing me. I thought your dad wasn't MAGA. I thought your dad believed in a woman's rights. Senator Warren doesn't owe me a damn thing, but she owes my daughters an apology. You should not lie like that.
Further, go ahead.
So let's be clear.
Oh,
John
let's be
Deaton
clear.
moves to Massachusetts, signs up as a Republican, signs on with the Republican Party
Where's
to
your
run a
apology?
coordinated campaign, brags in a Republican primary debate about how he's raising money for Republican control of the Senate, and gets Republicans to come here to raise money for it. And he's unhappy when he gets called a Republican. Look, this is about Senate control, and that's going to be about abortion. If the Republicans have control of the United States Senate, there will be zero opportunity to vote on a law to make Roe versus Wade law of the land. But it's also that our education policy will be controlled by people who don't believe in public education. Our climate policy will be controlled by people who are climate deniers.
Policy.
Our judges will be carefully screened by people who will make sure that they are anti-abortion, and our gun policies will be set by people who think thoughts and
Are you going to
prayers
apologize to Olivia or
are
not?
all that we need. Republican control of the United States Senate is bad for Massachusetts, and it's bad for our
Go ahead.
entire
You're bad for
time.
Massachusetts.
Yes, listen, you notice she still avoids the issue, and she just misled the voters again, because I said that I had a victory fund. I was trying to get state legislature people elected because the one-party system's not working in Massachusetts. Again, Senator Warren misled. But here's the thing. Senator Warren lives in this hyper-partisan political world where she's defined by party. You notice it's Democrats are great, Republicans are bad. I got news for you, Senator. All of you suck in Congress. All of you. It's a broken system. I'm disrupting that system. Senator Warren worries about control. When she was asked, what's wrong with John Deaton's policies? You know what she said? Oh, the crypto people like him. Then the person said, well, wait a minute, is that it? She goes, no, we want to not lose control of the Senate. This is the point. Is she worried more about the Neshoba customers and nurses and doctors and the Carney nurses and doctors and patients and the Amazon employees that were going to buy iRobot? If she worried about them the way she worries about control, then Massachusetts would be far better.
Okay, I don't want to interrupt the flow here, but you raised an important issue, abortion rights, and Victoria McGrain had a question on that.
Senator Warren, Mr. Deaton here says he is a pro-choice Republican who supports codifying Roe v. Wade into federal law. And that's, as you say, your position as well. So what is the difference between you on the issue?
So this is a matter of trust.
Republican playbook?
You know, we all watched as one after another Republican nominee for the Supreme Court walked in front of the United States Senate and swore until the world looked level that they would respect precedent, which was supposed to be code for they would not overturn Roe versus Wade. And then literally the first opportunity they got, they set Roe versus Wade on fire and burned it to ash.
They didn't. They brought it back to the
now
states.
what happens is that John Deaton comes in front of us and swears
And as
until
Ruth
the
Bader
world
Ginsburg
looks
always
level
said,
that he is a pro-choice candidate. But here's the deal. It's the same John Deaton who said, gee, if he'd had a chance, he would have voted for Neil Gorsuch, one of the justices who set Roe versus Wade on fire and burned it to the ground. He also went on that Republican stage and bragged about he is the candidate helping raise money for Republican control of the Senate. Look, when we talk about abortion, we are potentially talking about the lives of our daughters and our granddaughters. And when that's on the line, we cannot trust John Deaton.
Equal time, Mr. Deaton.
Let me tell you something. Don't talk to me about I'm a father of 3 daughters. I'm incapable of supporting a law that would restrict the freedoms and privacy of my own daughters. Now, let me tell you, remember, I keep saying, pay attention to what they do. Senator Warren was in the Senate on June 22nd when that Dobbs decision came down. They had the presidency, the House, the Senate. Where was the Roe bill? You want to know what John Deaton would have done? John Deaton, as a Republican, would have said, I demand that we vote on this and put every U.S. senator on notice. Where do they stand? Senator Warren, they don't want to do that. Why? Because it might make a Democrat in West Virginia uncomfortable. It might make a Democrat in another state. She's guilty of exactly what she said Donald Trump's guilty of. They didn't want to settle the abortion issue. They wanted it divisive. They wanted it as an election issue. Otherwise, Senator Warren would have wrote the Roe bill and got on the Senate floor and demanded it that it be voted on. She didn't then. She won't next time.
Rebuttal.
So I appreciate that Mr. Deaton has 3 daughters. The justices that set Roe versus Wade on fire and burned it to the ground collectively had 10 daughters. And Donald Trump has 2 daughters that we know of. Look, this is truly a question of trust. Keep in mind that right now, 30% of all women live in a state that effectively bans access to abortion. And if Donald Trump and J.D. Vance make it to the White House, it won't be 30%, it will be 100%. They're coming for us everywhere, including in states like Massachusetts. If they get the opportunity, and if there's Republican control of the Senate, you better believe that they are going to try to ban abortion everywhere. They've told us that. They've told us that in Project 2025. J.D. Vance has written a letter to the Department of Justice showing them how to do it without a vote in the Senate. Donald Trump brags about what he's done. House and Senate Republicans say they are going for a nationwide abortion ban. Believe them when they tell us.
I'm going to give you another bite at this, then we have to break. Go ahead.
Of course. Well, listen, it's not just Neil Gorsuch's fingerprints that's on the Dobbs decision. It's Senator Warren's. Let's go back to 2013 when she encouraged Harry Reid to drop the filibuster rule on lower judges. They were warned by Mitch McConnell that if you do that, then we're going to go with the Supreme Court. If that filibuster would have been honored like it was for 100 years and Senator Warren wouldn't have pushed to end it, the Supreme Court would look different today. It would look very different today. And I know it hurts her for me to say the truth, but her fingerprints are on that Dobbs decision as well.
Briefly, and then I'll give you another.
So let's just be clear. Actually, we did have a vote in the United States Senate to try to restore Roe versus Wade. And it was blocked by a filibuster led by the Republicans. So, yes, we do have a problem with the filibuster. We need to get rid of the filibuster. And I think we're going to have enough Democrats in the United States Senate to do that.
No, you won't.
The only way we will be able to vote on Roe versus Wade as nationwide law of the land is to have a Democrat in the White House, a Democratic majority in the Senate, and a Democrat majority in the House. That is the only way.
And because she went first
Bring
on
up
this,
the fake Indian.
Final word from you, then the break, please.
Well, sure. Very brief. Listen, Senator Warren's out there telling people, hey, we're going to end the filibuster and enact Roe immediately. Senator, you got 51 votes now. Let's do it now. You have the presidency and the vice president running for president. Do it now. John Deaton would do it now because John Deaton's not loyal to a party or a person or agenda. He'll be loyal to you out there, to Massachusetts, and to the country that he's already served for 7 years of active duty. Not to a party or an agenda.
Thank you both. Our debate between the 2 candidates for U.S. Senate will continue in a moment here on WBZ. So please stay with us.
Whoa, that was something, huh, guys? That was something. Let's talk a little bit about that. When he said, Senator, you all suck, he actually got a reaction out of her. She couldn't go back. And that was a great spot, and that's when you say something like that, that's when you don't come off as a swarmy politician, right? You come off as a real person. And there wasn't a person out there who heard that line. And I don't care if you love Elizabeth Warren, that didn't think, wow, I'm voting. Holy crap, nailed it, right? Here's a person who's a real person. It's just, just a human that's called out and said it's all garbage. You all suck. You're all full of shit. That was a a very, very good moment right there. I love that. John is crushing it. Yep, I agree with that. Yep, he is crushing it. She's already thinking that she has to face him again on Thursday, right? Yeah, she's not smart enough to maneuver him. The Republican playbook, the Republican this, the Republican that. It's just a very weak sort of argument on her side. Whooping ass, absolutely, Heather. I agree with that. I need this Trump playbook. Is it on Amazon? Well, and the Project 2025. This is so funny. This is what you do. You label stuff. You started labeling this that has nothing to do with Trump. It's Agenda 47, which is it's on his website, but they want to label it. The funny thing about it is that they complain about Project 2025, but they don't actually cite anything. They make up a bunch of, fear and loathing about this. Her whole campaign is about fear. It's all about, the Republicans are going to take away. I just saw an ad today for Harris that said the Republicans want to take away your Social Security. Meanwhile, Donald Trump says, I want to protect it. And why are people paying tax on Social Security? When the taxes go up, you get less money. It's incredible. Are we coming back here? Here we go.
Welcome back to the WBZ Boston Globe U.S. Senate debate. John Keller alongside Victoria McGrain of the Globe. Mr. Deaton, you'll go first on this one. You two take a very different view of the cryptocurrency industry. Senator Warren says she wants to build a, quote, anti-crypto army to rein in what she calls crypto's threat to financial stability, consumer protection, climate, and national security. You have criticized her and federal authorities for what you claim is overly aggressive regulation of crypto. What's the right balance? 1 minute.
Well, listen, I want everyone to know when I found Bitcoin, I thought of my mom because my mom was on welfare and food stamps and she couldn't keep a bank account because she couldn't keep the minimum balance and the bank would hit her with the predatory fees and we needed that money. And then she had to go to the check cashing stores that you see in the hood and they would charge her a fee. My mom would beg them, please, can you take less so that we have the money for food? And then when I went to college and I would send her money from college, I used Western Union and Western Union would take 15%. It made a difference. So when Bitcoin came, I was like, great, you could cut out the predatory banks and the middlemen and the MoneyGrams and Western Unions, and you could help unbanked people like my mom. But the better question here is for Senator Warren. With illegal immigration bankrupting this state, with inflation pricing regular people out of economy, with a debt crisis where 40% of the people don't have $500 in case of an emergency, with foreign wars taking place, why did this senator wake up one day and say, with all that, I'm going to build an anti-crypto army because crypto's so important to her? That's a question that she needs to answer.
Thank you. Senator, 1 minute.
So look, I'm fine. People want to buy and sell crypto. That's great. I just want to make sure that crypto has to follow the same rules as every bank, every stockbroker, every credit union, and that is some consumer protection laws and some laws to make sure that it's not open for terrorists and drug traffickers and human traffickers in Iran. So that's what I want. But I want to be really clear about what's really at issue here. And that is, who are you going to represent in Washington? There's one candidate standing here who gets 90% of the funding to keep their campaign going from one industry, the crypto industry. One candidate who has said quite openly that his personal worth is 80% tied up in crypto. Look, people of Massachusetts know me. You know I fight for everybody, fight for working people. If John Deaton has a chance to go to Washington, his crypto buddies are going to want a return on their investment. He's going to be there to fight for crypto.
Like your banking buddies.
Senator Warren never lets the truth get in the way. If you actually look what I did, I've upset more crypto billionaires because I did her job. She sits on the banking committee. I exposed all this regulatory capture by former SEC chair, by the way, appointed by Donald Trump, and Bill Hinman, appointed by Donald Trump's administration. There was an IG report. I'm responsible for a lot of these conflicts. So I've upset more of the crypto billionaires than anyone. The largest crypto fund blocks me on social media. But here's the thing, her ban her bill bans Bitcoin self-custody in America, yet she's allowing the banks to custody Bitcoin. Another example that Senator Warren's policies do not help poor people. They do not help the working class. She favors the accredited investor rule. That excludes 85% of the American population. Her policies absolutely hurt poor people. And I got in this race to give poor people an actual voice.
Rebuttal.
So I'm just trying to understand what Mr. Deaton's saying here. He's saying he has really made crypto folks mad, so mad that they came here to Massachusetts and are funding 90% of his campaign to try to take back this Senate seat, to take it away from me.
No, they'll take it away
I'm
from you.
having a hard time putting those pieces together.
You're dumb.
But I will say this. Look, the banks have truly failed a lot of poor people. It's part of the reason I fought so hard
He's gonna
to
crush
get a
on this one.
Consumer Financial Protection Bureau in place. It has now saved American consumers more than $15 billion that companies that cheated them had to return directly to those consumers. So I'm all in favor of more restrictions on the bank. The latest one for me has been to go after them on overdraft fees, where folks like JP Chase were making more than $1 billion a year off people who were struggling making it day to day. I'm in those fights, but I think crypto ought to have to follow the same rules as everybody else.
Briefly,
I
because
wish
I'd like to
Senator
move on.
Warren would attack inflation the way she attacks crypto. I wish she would attack securing the border the way she's focused on crypto. You know, she's so focused on crypto. She had the CEO of JP Chase available for questioning, and they had financed the largest child sex trafficking operation in history with Jeffrey Epstein. And you know, Senator Warren didn't ask a single question. She wanted to talk about crypto because she's so hyper-focused. Now, I know that because I was raped as a child for a period of 2 years, I might be a little more sensitive to those child rape victims. But I want to ask Senator Warren, why would you not ask one question? JP Chase settled for $290 million to these rape victims. They had to settle with the U.S. Virgin Islands. And Senator Warren doesn't ask a question. You want to know why? Because a former Democrat president's involved, because her donors are involved, because people that she knows are involved. Again, loyalty to an agenda, loyalty to a party. I come in and I want transparency on everything. I'd like her to answer the question on behalf of all those rape victims, though.
So look, I have stayed after the banks. I have stayed after the regulators that
answer the question.
regulate the banks.
Possibly.
I have done everything I humanly can to try to get more fairness into our financial system. What I don't hear Mr. Deaton talking about is what is the return on investment that his crypto
Answer the question.
investors are expecting from having put millions of dollars into his race. Look, I'm all for having a crypto system. If people want to buy and sell crypto, all I want are just some basic fair rules, the same kind of fair rules that should apply to all of our financial institutions.
I do want to move on, but she asked a question of you, so go ahead.
Listen, I can't help it. Let me finish, please. Let me finish.
Yes.
I can't help it when she goes to ban an entire industry that they're motivated against her because they see a viable candidate. But listen, the rules are already there. Senator Warren, you notice she didn't answer the question about those rape victims. You know, you can't call yourself a absolute warrior for women if you only select the women you're willing to protect.
Yes.
You know, I really don't understand this charge.
Of course you don't.
What you're talking about here. I have pushed on the banks and tried to get more regulation over the banks and tried to hold the banks accountable every single time they step out of line. Now, I get it. They're big and they're powerful. Of course, I don't take my money from the banking industry. I take my money from the people who want to support this campaign. What I don't hear you talking about is what exactly do the crypto folks expect to get by funding 90%
You want to know
of your
something?
campaign?
Everyone out there, I sued the government because the SEC had done something really bad to small retail investors, and a lifelong Democratic judge agreed with me. I did it all pro bono, and this token XRP was called legal because of my work. I won Lawyer of the Year, Consumer Advocate of the Year, Defender of Freedom Award because I did it for free. And guess what? Last week, that crypto billionaire that she's talking about that has supported me just donated millions of this XRP token to Vice President Harris campaign.
Ooh.
If I didn't do what I did, sue the SEC on behalf of small retail investors, that donation to your candidate of choice, Senator, would not have happened. So, Madam Vice President, if you're watching, you're welcome.
I would like to move on. You can return to this if you like later. Victoria McGreen has our next question. We'll go to you first again, Mr. Deaton, to make up for before.
Turning our attention to the rest of the world, you've suggested that Senator Warren is somehow insufficiently supportive of Israel. You've criticized her for not attending Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's speech to Congress. Would you, if elected as our senator, be a guaranteed vote in support of all Israeli government policies? Or can you cite any policy the Israeli government has pursued, past or future, where you might draw the line?
Well, listen, I would never say I'm going to support all of anything. My vote in the Senate will have to be earned. But we have to start with October 7th was the worst act of war and genocide against the Jews since the Holocaust. We have to start with that. And Senator Warren's been silent on this. Last time she ran for re-election, she said, quote, she had deep sympathy for Jews. We've learned that sympathy doesn't run so deep. She was silent when the Harvard president disgracefully wouldn't admit that calling for the death of every Jew and the destruction of Israel amounted to misconduct on Harvard's campus. She boycotted Prime Minister Netanyahu's address. You and I don't get to pick which day we go to work now, do we? She did. And worse than that, she has taken a pro-Hamas position. She was actually going to speak at a pro-Hamas event recently, and word got out and she bailed out. But here's the thing. Senator Warren has been more critical of our ally Israel than she has Hamas, Hezbollah, and Iran. It's her policies in Iran that got us in this situation. She favored the $6 billion to Iran. They bought missiles with that $6 billion. They shot the missiles at our ally, and now America is shooting down the missiles that America helped Iran get. If that's not the failure of foreign policy, I don't know what is.
Senator Warren, 1 minute.
I am very concerned that war in the Middle East is continuing to spread.
Oh, come on.
Israel has a right to defend itself. Prime Minister Netanyahu does not have a right to drag the United States into war in the Middle East. I think it's pretty clear what we need. We need to de-escalate in this area. We need to stop the bombing. We need to get those hostages home. I have met with hostage families over and over. We need to get more humanitarian relief in for those who are suffering. And most of all, we need to push the parties, all of the parties, to the negotiating table to work out a lasting peace. And that means a two-state solution where two different peoples can live side by side with respect, with self-determination, and in security.
Rebuttal.
I wish Senator Warren would have spent as much time trying to ban that $6 billion investment into Iran that she did blocking Amazon and iRobot. I wish she would have spent that effort trying to ban the money going to Iran to buy missiles against our allies than she would have objecting to Steward Health being bought by United Healthcare, and we lost 2 hospitals. I wish that she would ban the relationship with Iran that the administration has the way she wants to ban Bitcoin in the United States. It's insane. It is a failed policy that sits at her doorstep.
Go ahead if you want it.
Look, I've met with Prime Minister Netanyahu one-on-one years ago when I went over to Israel. And at that time, we talked about Gaza and about the growing problems in Gaza. We know what we need to do. We don't need rhetoric like this. What we need to do is we need to stop the bombing. We need to get those hostages home. We need to put more money into humanitarian relief, and we need to push the parties to the negotiating table. This war is expanding, and this kind of reckless talk is not going to make anyone any safer.
Go ahead, briefly,
Governor Walz in the vice president debate literally said that Iran is closer to a nuclear weapon than any time before. And it's because of Senator Warren's policies that they've done that. Listen, if Iran gets a nuclear weapon, we know they're going to use it. So it's because of Senator Warren's policies that we're actually in this mess.
I do hope that Mr. Deaton understands that it was Donald Trump
Oh, here we
that
go.
took us out of the deal we had with Iran to keep Iran from developing a nuclear weapon. The
No,
reason
false.
that Governor Walz talked about this is because it was a failure of the Trump administration. Look, as I said, we know what needs to be done. Rhetoric like this is not helping.
$6 billion
She's
went to
off.
Iran
Okay.
during this current administration. They paid for missiles to shoot at our ally, and now we are shooting those missiles down that she helped Iran get. That is insanity.
Let's move on. You can return to this if you like. And this question comes from a voter, Hunter from Swampscott. He writes, I've been born and raised in Massachusetts and want to settle down in the Bay State following the completion of my education. However, I find the cost of housing to be the single greatest obstacle to my being able to do so. You'll go first here, Senator. What will you do in the Senate to help Hunter?
Nothing.
Hunter, I have a plan for you, and I actually also have a way to pay for it. Look, our problem is Econ 101. We don't have enough housing supply. Our population has gone up and the number of available houses has not. And that has shut too many people out of the housing market and driven up costs through the roof. So I have a plan to help build 3 million new housing units all across the country, tens of thousands right here in Massachusetts. It's already endorsed by more than 30 mayors across Massachusetts, and it's fully paid for. Look, we're going to have a decision to make as a nation. Do we want to continue to let billionaires pass along wealth to their generation after generation, or could we increase our taxes just a little bit on them back to, say, the George W. Bush era and use that money to invest in building more housing? That's how we'll get prices down. That's how first-time homebuyers will be able to get into the market.
Thank you, Mr. Deaton. 1 minute.
Listen, I looked at Senator Warren's bill. It averages a house here in Massachusetts to be built for $183,000. She's never here, so she doesn't realize that it at minimum costs $300 a square foot. So a house here in Massachusetts in the greater Boston area costs $600,000 to build. It's easy to throw a plan that's never going to happen and then try to take credit. Here's what you have to do. First, you got to secure the border because the housing situation is being exasperated here in Massachusetts with her open door policy. It is an absolute supply problem. And so I've talked to builders, and you know what the builders tell me? It takes 2 years to get the necessary permits just to build. Then they get more delays. We have to incentivize the behavior that we want. So you give tax credits for low income housing so that poor people have an opportunity to have better housing. You do that. You also, for the renters out there, we need to increase the $4,000 tax credit to $8,000 to cause some relief for them. Go ahead.
Okay, rebuttal. Time's up.
Start
Go
out
ahead.
by blaming the immigrants. But let's be clear about
I blamed you, not the immigrants.
Let's be clear about my housing bill. My housing bill, you say, oh, it can't get done. You know, that's what people said about my 15% minimum tax on corporations. Nobody will ever get that done. And yet, that's exactly what got passed 2 years ago as a way to pay for the biggest climate package in the history of the world, along with $35 insulin and a $2,000 cap on what seniors spend. So I believe in having big plans that work. Here's the good news, too. The vice president is in favor of doing exactly the same thing, and that is building out housing supply. But the way I do this, there's no number in there on what we say you have to spend in Massachusetts. It's that I enlist partnership with the mayors for them to bring down costs. And they have a lot of different ways they can do that. But our job as the federal government is to say, if you do that, we will put real federal dollars behind that to help you pay for the elementary school or for the new sewage plant you need to work in partnership to get more housing. It's a great plan.
Equal time.
Listen, you incentivize the builders to build. You make it worth their while, and that's how you solve this. And the private sector can do it. Also, we have a commercial real estate issue. I favor that we do away with some of these zoning issues and turn some of the commercial real estate that's not being used into housing. You know, you notice Senator Warren always, if you say there's a national security crisis when hundreds of thousands of people that are literally crossed the border with criminal convictions. If you say that, she'll call you a racist or a xenophobe. That's ridiculous. We got to end this divisiveness. You know, let me tell you, I've been on the campaign trail, and the people on the far left say, oh, if you say there's a national security crisis, you're a racist xenophobe. And then if I don't demonize the migrants and I say, listen, these are good people who just want a better life, I know what that's like, then you're soft on immigration. It's insane. And you notice that Senator Warren is part of that broken system. We have to get people like me who are not loyal to a party or an agenda or a person. That is what will give Massachusetts a real voice in the United States
What do you
Senate,
got, Grandma?
a voice they haven't had for years.
Go ahead.
So I just want to go really quickly back to Hunter's original question, and that is how we're going to bring down the cost of housing. Look, the private sector can do it. That's what Mr. Deaton says. That's what they've been saying for decades now. And the price goes up and up and up. It is time to take the resources of the federal government to work with our local communities and to say we are going to incentivize bringing down prices. And part of that can be cutting regulations, you bet. But let the localities decide for themselves which regulations to cut and how they will bring down costs. We need partnership here.
We have to break, but I'm giving you the last word.
Well, leave it to these
Keep it
career
brief,
politicians that have been in office for years, just like the wealth gap that Senator Warren talks about. It's increased every single year that she's been in office because she doesn't have a clue of how to save it. And I hope we get to talk about it because this is an issue that I'm passionate about. It's not a political slogan for me, Senator. It lives in my heart.
Thank you both. Great debate so far. Coming up next, our next question from Victoria McGrain when the WBZ Boston Globe U.S. Senate debate continues. Stay with us.
Well, there we go. That was something. Boy, I'll tell you what, that was pretty unbelievably amazing, I have to say. This was a good one right there. I blame you, not the immigrants. That was another. If you look at all the lines that are getting landed that will probably be playing on the shows tomorrow or later tonight in the national, we'll make national news, and hopefully we'll make acts that we'll be able to repost on there. This is the kind of things we're really incredibly well landing. I got to say, that was fantastic. So, yeah, very well done. John is really phenomenal. Is better advanced. It's just fantastic. Guys, I'm going to put this full screen for a second. I'm going to take a bio break, and I will be right back. But I will make sure that hopefully I get back in time. But here we go. I don't want to play this national thing, but I'll be right back.
Welcome back to the WBZ TV Boston Globe U.S. Senate debate. Boston Globe political editor Victoria McGrain has our next question.
Let's keep things local. This fall, Massachusetts voters will decide whether or not to keep a passing score on the MCAS test, a major diagnostic tool created by the 1993 Education Reform Act, as the state's main high school graduation requirement. If question 2 passes, it would leave the state's 300+ school districts to set their own graduation standards. Mr. Deaton, to you, are you voting for it or against it, and why?
Listen, I'm voting no because the public education system of which I was with in the inner cities are already stressed out. And we can't have 351 standards. Our school system is still recovering from COVID. The statistics of fifth graders can't even read. And there's people being graduated. If you don't have the MCAS and you have no standards, you're going to get people graduating from high school that can't fully speak English now in the state. And that puts them at a disadvantage. We have to be fair to the students being here. And let me tell you something that's very important to me. I grew up in the inner city. I want to make sure that a kid in Springfield, in Roxbury, in Mattapan, in Brockton, that they have the same quality education as the kid in Wellesley or the kid in Cambridge. And it's something that we have to pay attention to. And so what I want to do is give tax credits to teachers who go into the inner cities to teach. I want to Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you finish your sentence. I was
just saying the bottom line is we can't abandon these kids in inner cities. And what will happen is that's what's going to happen. You're going to get a better education in the more affluent communities. And trust me, we do not want to leave these kids. They already have it as bad as it can be. I got in this race because I wanted to show them there is a chance for you in this country. There is a chance to achieve the American dream like I did. And I want to make sure we can't cut them from education and then ask them to achieve their dream.
Thank you, Senator Warren. MCAS, question 2.
So I will be voting yes on question 2. Many of you know I started out as a special ed teacher. And I learned early on that one test is not a great measure for every kid, that ultimately we keep about 700 kids from getting a high school diploma. And it's a lot of special needs kids and a lot of kids who are just learning English. Look, Massachusetts has #1 education system in the country. And you have to ask yourself why. Some people think, well, it's because we instituted this test. I think it's because of our teachers. It's because we have really terrific teachers and we support them. Our teachers are telling us that the consequence of this test is actually to teach our kids less because we're teaching them more about test-taking skills, taking them out of the classroom. They want an opportunity to help shape a broader view of which children get a high school diploma. And I think that's something that we should support our teachers who have helped us build the #1 education system in the country.
Rebuttal.
I may not be able to fit in Washington because this logic that these career politicians use just escapes me. Senator Warren just said, we in Massachusetts have the best educational system in the country. So I come from the KISS method, keep it simple, stupid of the Marine Corps. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And so here you go, Senator Warren, bragging, we got the best system, but let's change it. Makes no sense. Just like everything in Washington, just about makes no sense. I want to bring common sense back to the United States Senate because clearly it's lacking.
Equal time.
You know, I just have to say, I believe it's our teachers who are producing this system. They're the ones on the ground with our kids, and they're the ones who are telling us just how miserable this test is making life for many of our kids and for many of our teachers. And for what? To identify 700 out of 72,000 kids to say you didn't pass that particular form of test. I got to say, as a former special needs teacher, I think that's a terrible approach.
One standard is better than 351 standards. That's the bottom line. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
All right, let's see if we can fit in one more question here, and this will sort of tax your ingenuity, I think. It's another voter question from Kerry in Brookfield. Quote, it's very difficult to find a primary care doctor. Wait lists are up to a year. There's a definite lack of medical care, especially in rural communities. Do you have a plan to address this issue? And I forgot who we started with last time.
I started last time.
All right, go ahead, Senator.
Okay, good. Well, the answer is it's going to take a lot of pieces here. And one of them is that we need to make sure that we preserve at least access to health care. Keep in mind that Republican control of the Senate means that the people who are in charge nationally of our healthcare policy want to repeal the Affordable Care Act. And that would cost Massachusetts literally billions of dollars. But our system is already broken, and part of the problem is private equity. Private equity is an issue that I've been working on for years now, trying to beat these guys out of one industry after another, where they come in, like with department stores. Remember Kmart, remember Sears, remember Toys R Us.
What's she
Suck
talking
the value
about?
out of these businesses, send it to a handful of investors, and leave a collapsing shell behind. They're now doing it in our healthcare system. That's what Steward Health was all about.
That's not what
and
it's all
that's
about.
what I'm leading the fight to make sure never happens again
Incorrect.
in Massachusetts.
Mr. Deaton, go
couple
ahead.
of things. Senator Warren, literally, there was a deal on the table for United Health to purchase Steward. Senator Warren rushed to the table. She objected to it. Why? Because it's a for-profit company and she wants to be consistent with her brand. She thinks fighting against things means fighting for them, and they're not the same thing. And now we lost 2 hospitals that could have been saved. We're talking about there's a pregnant woman now in Central Mass that has to drive 45 minutes to give delivery because they've lost the maternity health care because Senator Warren wanted to rush and say, look, big bag company, we want to not allow this deal to go through, and it didn't. And so that's the approach that she takes to everything. And she voted for the Ukraine war, which unfortunately we didn't get to tonight. But you want to know the $200 billion that we could have done, Senator Warren? We could offer universal pre-K for 10 years, have $50 billion more. We could expand Medicaid in the 12 states that didn't adopt it yet for 20 years and give millions of more people health insurance. And Senator Warren doesn't ask for these questions to be, when she votes for like foreign wars, she doesn't ask the appropriate questions.
And rebuttal, you each have a minute left. Go.
So let's be clear.
Oh, let's be
John
clear.
Deaton seems to think the answer to our healthcare system is let the largest insurance company in the world come in and buy up more of our
But
hospitals.
you want government to run
I don't
everything.
think that's the answer. I think that's the problem. The corporatization of our healthcare system is literally killing us, and we need federal regulations in place to stop that. That's what I'm fighting for. That's what John Deaton wants to advance. That's why control of the Senate matters so much in this election.
Rebuttal.
Kearney Hospital in Dorchester, Neshoba Hospital in Central Mass. You know what they needed? They needed a senator that fights for people, that fights for the nurses, that fights for the lab techs, that fights for the doctors, that fights for the patients. Senator Warren didn't care about that. She just rushed to say, big bad company. So I object. Just like with Amazon iRobot, the people in iRobot needed a senator to say, you know, maybe this one deal makes sense, but no, it's big bad Amazon, must be evil. Therefore, Senator Warren objects, cost hundreds of people's
The murder on
jobs.
live TV here.
That's the difference. She fights against things and people, not for. Fighting against the rich and the wealthy, Senator, is not the same as fighting for the poor and the middle class. I will fight for the poor and the middle class every day of my life because I have so far every day of my life.
John Deaton's answer is let the big corporations come in and take it all. I guarantee Massachusetts, we will not be better off.
And that concludes our Senate debate. Thanks to the candidates for an excellent debate. Thanks to Victoria McGreen and the Boston Globe. It's been a pleasure working with you. And thanks also to the many talented people behind the scenes here at WBZ who make these debates happen. So now that you've heard the candidates, you have a job to do. Vote.
Vote for John Deaton,
Early
baby.
voting by mail has already begun. Check with your local town or city hall to find out about in-person early voting and where to vote on election day. Then watch your vote count on WBZ's extensive.
Yeah, and by the way, if you guys are here tonight and this is new to you, please go ahead and like and consider subscribing. We do a lot of these breakdowns. We'll be doing a lot of this. We're big supporters of John Deaton, but please go ahead and like, subscribe to the channel. And if you don't like it, well, then keep it to yourself. That's all it's like. But if you do like it, yeah, absolutely do it. But
thank you for watching.
there we go. Okay. Let's see. Well, look at that. Gracious. He shook her hand. Beautiful. Okay, well, there you go, guys. There you have it. Thank you for sticking with us. I really appreciate you guys. A good watch party tonight. Really enjoyed everybody coming in here and really giving their blockchain backer. Beautiful. Thank you, my man. Blockchain backers in here, legend. Thank you, man. But here's a couple things we learned tonight is that I just witnessed a live murder on live television. There was a murder on live television tonight, got destroyed. It was really interesting to see that she did not expect John Deaton. She didn't know who she was dealing with. The best parts that I liked was when they put both of the candidates' faces up there, and she had that worried look, and when he told her everybody in the Senate sucks, everybody in the Congress sucks, she was like, I got to look at that one again because she kind of was taken back, although she was a little bit taken back, I have to say that was a good one. That was really fun. Appreciate that. That to me, that was a really good one. It was a good debate. By the way, it was a much better debate. They stayed on policy. They didn't interrupt each other. To me, better than a presidential one, a VP debate. There's even the questions. I have to give them a lot of credit. Both of the people moderating this did a good job. They didn't do any fact checking. They gave some fair rebuttal time. They didn't say, "Oh, you got your chance." Anytime it was challenged, they kind of went back and forth until they sort of played it out. So I thought there was a lot of great stuff that happened tonight. And John Deaton absolutely crushed it, man. I can't wait to text him and tell him he crushed it. John, I just witnessed a murder on live television. My God, that was something amazingly beautiful, gorgeous, just well done. It was just incredible. Tomorrow night, thank you guys for coming in here because you guys made it very pleasant. Otherwise, just me yelling at my TV, right? Like old man yelling at TV, yeah, you're right. But it was I had to once in a while jump in. I hate doing that because I know people want to listen, and it could be a little bit off. But maybe we'll do it again on Thursday night. There's another debate Thursday night, but she's going to be doing some thinking. But he challenged her, and what you got to see there was she never answered the question. And when she didn't answer the question, he came back and said, "You didn't answer the question." You had J.P. Morgan, CEO, to ask a very specific question about that. Talked about his own life, draw parallels to that, and she wouldn't answer the question. And when he asked that, he doesn't owe her an apology, but his daughter Olivia an apology for lying about who John Deaton is. Now, I don't care who you are, man. You can see that stuff. You can see when a politician, this is what she does. She deflects. She goes on about what she thinks, she realized very early on that the playbook and the Trump playbook, and it's the Republican playbook, that might have worked in the past. That did not play here tonight. So John Deaton's having none of that. No matter what issue she brought up, he absolutely was able to counter that. And when he talked about the hospitals, her big thing was, wait a minute, so you gave up losing 2 hospitals because you wanted to rush to hate. And he said, one of the key things he said is, it's fighting against rich people is not the same as fighting for the poor people. And now having a woman who's pregnant drive 45. So these are the kind of things that I think are going to resonate with Massachusetts voters because they're local issues. You watch the business and be turned away because she's going to go fight the big bad system. And the whole idea of the fact is that when she called him out on the how many bills, he only authored 1 bill as a sponsor, not a co-sponsor. He says as a sponsor. In other words, someone who originated the bill. And she went off and said, "Whoa, Dad, you were fact-checked." She brought it up. You were fact-checked by the Boston Globe or whoever it was. And they actually said that I did this and that. And he brought it back again and said, "I said as a sponsor," right? So again, she tried to distort his words, make it something that he didn't say. And what he absolutely said was as a sponsor. And so people get to see that. You get to see that, that he asked you about this and you went off about something else. You started going off about Trump. You started going off about a national abortion ban. You started going off about Project 25. All these things that you think are going to play well nationally that absolutely don't play well in Massachusetts. And he got her in another one where he talked about one of my other favorite lines was, and there were so many good ones tonight, when he said, "You're not even here. You're hardly even around." Oh, that one was a stinger because the people that live in, metropolitan Boston, people that live in, Roxbury, people that live all over the state know exactly what he's talking about, that she's the national senator, right? She doesn't play to Massachusetts. She plays to the national audience. This anti-crypto army that he nailed her on, this whole idea of the anti-crypto army, totally nailed her there. Why are you building an anti-crypto army when you should be paying attention to what people, in other words, he kind of drew that parallel that you want to be a national, look at me, spotlight senator, but what are you doing for the people of the Commonwealth, right? What are you actually contributing? And then she started to go on that tirade. Well, I've done this, and I've done this, and I've done this, and I brought this money back. And he said, yeah, but you could have brought more money. What about what kind of programs could we have funded if you hadn't done that? And I thought he was also very strong on Israel as well when he called her out for being pro-Hamas, that she was going to go to a pro-Hamas rally until people started calling her out, and she rethunked it a little bit. She was rethinking that a little bit. And as she was rethinking it, then she decided to pull out. But he also talked about Iran. Look, this administration sent $6 billion. There's no mistake that all of a sudden the rockets get, on October 7th. So he called her out on her hypocrisy. And I told you the two-state solution was coming. I'm like, here comes the two-state solution. I was a little bit early. It kind of came 2 sentences or 3 sentences later. But absolutely, the whole idea of the two, this is like you just know these liberals. This is how they act. Playbook, Donald Trump. I'm fighting for you. You're fighting for us? No. And I think the distinction that John Deaton brought tonight, where he showed what the difference between somebody who fights for the people of Massachusetts versus the national, look at me, I'm famous, I'm the senator that has all the control. And I thought he did that distinction very nice, because he kept calling her out on the things that she missed that would have been good for Massachusetts. I think this was a really good debate tonight. I thank all of you guys for coming in here. Yeah, and then he also called that out too. A crypto billionaire, by the way, he said, donated, $1 million to VP Harris's campaign. And he said, thank you. You're welcome. I mean, really hit hard. I was really impressed and very proud of John tonight. I thought he did an amazing job. Very, very good job. Yeah, he was really good. And we got another one coming up. But I think that, like I said, that's my text to John. I witnessed a murder on live television tonight. It was good. You guys do what you can, right? If you can't donate to his campaign, look, money's really important, right? Because money buys ads. Ads, are out there that people get to see. Hopefully, a lot of people saw this and they got to see John Deaton. They didn't know who he was, but there's a lot of things you can call John Deaton, but you can't call him MAGA, right? He's running in the state of one of the most bluest states outside of California, New York. You can't call him you can't say that he's not pro-life. You can't. So all the things that they normally can pin on somebody, they couldn't pin it on John Deaton. And he was very tactful and phenomenal. He never lost his composure. He never rambled on. She rambled. He rattled her, man. John Deaton rattled Warren. She was at a loss. And I only wish that they would have put both of the faces up there more. To when he was landing those punches, I just wish we got to see her face, because there was a couple times they put it up and she was like, she had the worried grandma face, right? I mean, it was well done, man. Hats off to John Deaton. Guys, thank you. I'm going to get out of here. I wanted to say thanks to everybody, but go ahead and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and like it. And we will hopefully, maybe we'll be back. But come tomorrow night, we're going to have a very special co-host here. We got JV the Great. JV the Great we're going to be doing, talking a little bit about this. We'll be talking about some of our favorite moments, but all the other things we talk about as well. But come and check out and hang out with JV and I tomorrow night. Looking forward to seeing you guys, and we will say au revoir, good night, and all that good stuff. Thank you for all of the contribution, support you guys have for the channel in terms of financial donations. It makes a difference here. It keeps the lights on. It pays for all of our software, and they just doubled our price on our software. So Jeff and I are not happy about that. I reached out to the company. I'm like, if you notice, we don't stream to as many places anymore. I'm like, you can't double it. Like you can increase it and say, we'll give you these new features, but you can't take away our features and double the price. So all of that little bit helps you guys can't imagine. So anyway, guys, we will see you guys on the next one. I will see you tomorrow night with JV and myself. We'll be here at 8 p.m. Eastern time from 8 to 9. And check us out. All right. Talk to you guys. We'll see you on the next one. Chip. Oh.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.